You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today's Friday, 6th day of February, 2026. Thanks for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. The first broadcast is our live training room, so to get into that one, you got to be a member or taking your 1-week free trial. If you haven't taken your 1-week free trial, when Michael joins us in about an hour, he'll walk you through step by step how to take the trial. We'll get your indicators up and indicating today. Your trial will officially begin Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. That's when we go to work. And it will run around the clock all the way through next week to Friday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern. You get 5 consecutive trading days, plus you'll get Sunday night if you get signed up today. It'll take you about 3 minutes to just fill out the form, get signed up. There's no credit card required. We want you focused on what's being taught so that at the end of the trial, you can make a well-informed, intelligent decision as to whether or not trading is right for you. So be sure to stick around to the top of the hour. Let Michael walk you through those 3 steps and get yourself signed up. And then Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. Now, typically, the CTA alerts do come out 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open, as they did last night. But the potential for gaps this Sunday night, I think at the moment are pretty high, and God only knows what will happen between now and then. So I'll put a note in the discussion group to let you know when to expect the CTAs, and God willing, the weekly trading zones will come out Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern, as they have for the last 16 plus years. Now, when the live training room, and when you take the trial, you are gaining access to the live training room, but you're also gaining access to everything else we do the other 22 hours of the day. The logic alerts, the concierge trade alerts, the weekly trading zones. We treat you like you are already a member, a passport holder for 5 consecutive trading days. We give you access to everything because we really do want you to be able to make a well-informed, intelligent decision as to whether or not what we do is right for you. Now, when the live training room ends each day at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we do take a 30-minute break, and then we come back for this broadcast, the noon broadcast, which is open to the public. Everybody, everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. There's two different ways to join this afternoon broadcast live. The best way, you only have to do it once. Go to mytradingiq.com. Scroll down the page to where it says Noon Broadcast. Just click the link, fill out the 30-second registration form, and you're done. Like I said, you only have to do that once. What will happen going forward is every trading day you'll get an email about an hour before this broadcast starts. In the email, there's a link. So at 12 noon Eastern, all you do is click the link in the email, and it automatically logs you into our platform. The benefit there is you immediately have access to the question box, so you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Now, there will be days you're out of the office, away from the desktop, but you still want to join live. And there'll be days when you're busy, so you can't join live, but you do want to get caught up later. You can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember, youtube.com/CFRN. That's the Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005. April will be our 21st anniversary. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, but we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there's over 2,900 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. And if you're new to our neck of the woods, it's a great way to get to know who we really are. Thanks to the power of YouTube, you can scroll back 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, even more. Now, obviously, you're not going to watch them all, nor do you need to, but it's a great resource to have at your fingertips because it allows you to see how we've evolved over the years, literally day by day by day. youtube.com/CFRN. And again, we simulcast this afternoon broadcast every single day, both on our go-to platform and also on our YouTube channel. So whichever way you're able to join us, we're always glad to have you with us. On the left side of the screen is our schedule for each afternoon broadcast. Now, Michael will join us about 1 o'clock Eastern, top of the hour. He'll give us a recap of what happened in the live training room this morning, then do a little live trading as time and the markets permit. But for now, we'll get started right where we do each and every day with our daily devotional. The topic that we're on right now, in fact, we're on day 4 of 5, 5 fear-fighting truths. Today's scripture is Lamentations chapter 3, verses 22 and 23. And I'm going to share it with you from the NIV translation. Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. Now, some of us are afraid of the dark, or at least we were when we were kids. But I assure you, God is not afraid of the dark. The rough wooden boardwalk is cool beneath my feet as I make my way to the sand. The sky is still the thick deep blue of night, and gray shadows sway in the salty wind. I'm not a morning person, but I'm at the beach, and I'm determined to see the sun climb like a rising warrior above the waves at least once. As I get closer to the shore, I can see more people who have decided to forsake pillows for flip-flops along with me. They sit on huge pieces of stranded driftwood, stroll along the edge of the water with cameras in hand, or sip from coffee cups with dazed looks on their faces. I notice one woman lifting her eyes to the still night sky, and I'm curious, what does she see? When I follow her example, I am greeted by diamonds thrown out on velvet. One star in particular winks brilliantly back at me. I find out later it's actually the planet Venus, otherwise known as the morning star. Here is its mystery and beauty. Venus is known for rising in the darkest part of the night, just before dawn. In Revelation 22:16, Jesus said, "I am the bright morning star." This means, among other things, he's not afraid of the deepest dark. He's not frightened by the secret places in our hearts, the ones that haven't seen daylight for years, the kinds with the locks on the doors, the sort we don't say out loud or even fully admit to ourselves. He is not running scared from the tragedies in our lives. He is not backing away from the brokenness, the bitterness, the shattered dreams. He is not intimidated by the monsters under our beds or inside our minds. He's not avoiding the struggles or the addictions. He's not waving his hands in surrender to the enemies of our souls. He's not saying, "This is too much for me." He is not afraid to step right out into the night, not afraid to even dwell in the middle of it, because he is light, and in him there is no darkness at all. This means darkness can surround him, and he cannot be defeated or diminished by it. He came as a baby into a midnight world and announced his arrival with a shining star. He conquered death in a dark tomb and rolled the stone away, making a way into the brightness for all of us. In the thickest gloom, the morning star rose. Lamentations 3:22. The Lord's mercies are new every morning. As I watch the sun slip into the morning sky and fill it with gold and flame, I bear witness that these words are true. Venus, the morning star that foreshadowed all this light and blazing glory, seems to be more than just a planet. It suddenly also seems to be a promise, a daily reminder from the heart of our Creator that even the deepest night will lead to dawn. Fear and darkness cannot win. The light will never be overcome. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you that your mercies never fail and your compassion is new every morning. Help us begin each day with hope, trusting in your great faithfulness. Renew our hearts and remind us that your love carries us through. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. And everybody said, Amen. Amen and happy Friday. Everybody's been working for the weekend, right? And here it is. Hope you got great plans. All right, let me give you the numbers from around the world. We'll start here in the US with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. Currently the Dow is up 964 points, almost 2%. The NASDAQ is up 366 points, almost 1.75%. S&P 500 up 100 points, 1.5%. And the Russell 2000 up 82 points. For the Russell, that's a gain of 3.25%. Quite the bounce back. In the commodity basket, crude oil up 91 cents, trading 64.23 last. That's a gain of 1.5%. Gold up 88 bucks, trading 4,978.60 last, a gain of almost 2%. Silver down 31 cents, trading 76.40 last. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei posted a gain of 435 points, almost 1%. Shanghai fell 10. Hang Seng dropped 325, almost 1.25%. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE up 60. The DAX up 230, 1%. And the CAC up 35. So we had a mixed day in Asia. It was a green day for the UK. And so far, it's a big green Radio Friday here in the US of A. Let's take a look at the news. The 2026 Winter Olympics officially open tonight in Milan, marking Italy's third time hosting the Winter Games. The ceremony takes place at San Siro Stadium with 2,916 athletes from 92 national Olympic committees, including 232 from the U.S. The live ceremony begins at 2 p.m. Eastern on NBC and Peacock. The Milan Cortina Games span nearly 8,500 square miles across northern Italy, combining Milan's urban arenas with Cortina d'Ampezio's alpine venues, more than 250 road miles apart. It's the first dual-host Olympics, promoting sustainability and reuse, with nearly 90% existing or temporary venues. The closing ceremony is set for Verona, about 100 miles east of Milan. The games run through February 22nd, featuring 16 sports, including ski mountaineering, the first new standalone Olympic sport since skeleton's 2002 return. Athletes will compete for 116 gold medals worth about $2,300 each, more than double their 2024 value. The Paralympics will follow March 6th through 15th. President Trump launched Trump RX yesterday, a direct-to-consumer website where Americans can search for medications and compare prices. Consumers can then purchase the medications through pharmaceutical companies' websites with or without insurance. And so the website is simply trumprx.gov. trumprx.gov. You just go there, you type in whatever medication it is that you take, and it gives you the new reduced price and a link where you can either purchase directly from the manufacturer, or you can get a QR code if you're going to run it through your insurance, or if you're going to go into the pharmacy and just pay cash. The medications offered on Trump RX require a prescription, including weight loss drugs Wegovy and Zepbound. Some, like the blood thinner Plavix, will cost as low as $16 per month, while more expensive drugs can exceed $2,000. Trump RX aims to reduce costs by featuring price comparisons, giving more choice to consumers. However, if generic versions of a drug are not featured on the site, or consumers fail to apply savings from insurance, they could miss out on cheaper alternatives. Experts recommend checking insurance coverage to avoid overpaying for drugs. Drug prices have ballooned in recent decades, increasingly at 3 times the rate of inflation. Heart and diabetes medications are especially driving up costs. Way to go, Trump. The FBI yesterday announced a $50,000 reward for information that leads to the finding of Nancy Guthrie, the mother of NBC's Today co-host Savannah Guthrie. Authorities believe the 84-year-old is still out there after she was allegedly taken from her Arizona home last weekend. Savannah Guthrie addressed her mother's possible abductor in a video posted to social media on Wednesday. It was on all the news channels. I'm sure you saw it. She and her siblings recorded it with the FBI's guidance after unverified ransom notes were sent to local and national media outlets. Authorities arrested one person in connection with a phony ransom demand, but say another note is being taken seriously. Neither a suspect nor a person of interest has been publicly identified as of this writing. The search grows increasingly urgent because Nancy Guthrie has cardiac issues and requires daily medication. President Trump, who has been interviewed by Savannah Guthrie, spoke with the journalist by phone Wednesday and has directed federal law enforcement to support the investigation fully, completely, 100%. Turning to Wall Street. Stocks jumped today, set to rebound from a week-long tech bruising as Wall Street reassessed worries about the impact of AI disruption and the risks of hefty big tech spending. Wall Street is looking to end the week with a bounce back as big tech CEOs and analysts brush aside concerns about the impact of new AI tools on legacy tech. But the S&P 500 and NASDAQ are still set for weekly losses, having slipped into negative territory for 2026. Consumer sentiment came in better than expected this morning, reaching the highest level since August, but still remains down about 20% from last year's highs and near historically low levels as fears about inflation and the labor market weigh on Americans. The University of Michigan's Index of Consumer Sentiment for February came in at 57.3, up 1.6 points from January, but down 11.4% from last year's level of 64.7. The rise beat forecast, with data from Bloomberg showing economists expected this report to come in lower than January at 55. Well, there's a little good news, I guess, although we don't put a whole lot of stock in that economic report. Cloud giant Amazon reported its fourth quarter results after the bell yesterday as a miss on its Q1 operating income estimate and a massive expansion in CapEx for 2026 sent shares plunging. Amazon stock fell around 10% in early trading today. Currently, Amazon's down about 7%. Amazon said it anticipates Q1 operating income of between $16.5 billion and $21.5 billion, below analyst expectations of $22.2 billion. On top of that, the company said it will spend upward of $200 billion on CapEx for the year, a massive jump from the $125 billion Amazon was set to spend in 2025. With such strong demand for our existing offerings and seminal opportunities like AI, chips, robotics, and low Earth orbit satellites, we expect to invest about $200 billion in capital expenditures across Amazon in 2026 and anticipate strong long-term return on invested capital. That's from a statement put out by CEO Andy Jassy. Bloomberg. Tesla isn't waiting around to see if Elon Musk's 100 gigawatt solar ambition is feasible. It's already acting on it. The company is evaluating multiple sites across the U.S. to begin manufacturing solar cells, according to people familiar with the matter, turning what sounded like a moonshot just weeks ago into an active industrial push. One component of the plan, expanding production at its Buffalo, New York factory, said the people who weren't authorized to speak publicly. Capacity there could reach 10 gigawatts, they said, which would be equivalent to 10 nuclear plants. Wow. Longer term, another scenario would involve building a second facility in New York State, according to one of the people. Arizona and Idaho are among other locations under consideration. The effort is being led by Tesla Vice President Bon Eggleston, who recently posted on LinkedIn he was hiring for domestic solar manufacturing jobs. AI's insatiable appetite for electricity is again spurring Musk to prioritize solar after the company's earlier efforts failed to realize the ambitions he outlined. Solar cells are thin wafers used in the manufacture of solar panels. Musk and representatives for Tesla did not immediately respond to requests for comment. They said we can neither confirm nor deny companies we are currently working with and do not discuss open or potential projects. Well. So Idaho or Arizona are going to get a real boost if this comes through. Visa and MasterCard's long quest to offer payments to Chinese consumers and businesses is starting to bear fruit through partnerships that enable at least partial access to the massive market. The latest deal involves Visa. Visa Direct, the card brand's real-time payment app, and UnionPay International have agreed to connect Visa's Direct Card network to UnionPay's Money Express platform. Visa is looking for a slice of China's payments market, which is expected to reach $47 trillion in 2026 and increase to more than $70 trillion by 2031. That size has created a battle of the titans. Among credit card companies, Visa has 39% of global share, UnionPay has 34%, MasterCard 24%, Amex 2%, and Discover 1%. But those numbers mask Visa and MasterCard's share in China and UnionPay's share in the US, which is considered negligible. The FBI's January 28 raid on Fulton County, Georgia's election offices was sorely needed. It should have happened in 2020. Americans should be proud of this country, but ashamed of its fourth world voting system. While Republican Governor Ron DeSantis has modernized Florida's elections, Republican Governor Brian Kemp has light years to go before Georgians can feel equally confident about its votes. Greater Atlanta is the black hole in which election integrity goes to die. Fulton County's voter rolls have been, and continue to be, a complete mess, according to Republican State Senator Greg Dolezal. He said this in a jaw-dropping video on X. In the Peach State, it is illegal to be registered to vote from anywhere other than your primary residence. As of January 5th, about 70 people are registered to vote right here at a UPS store. Dolezal visited 850 Oak Street. There are 19 people registered to vote at this abandoned house, he explains. Its windows are broken or boarded up. A brown and green blob of weeds and ivy slowly devours the front porch. 19 people do not live there. Nonetheless, that's where they are registered to vote. My. That's quite a can of worms that's been opened. All right, let's take a look at Logic 247. It's a light week because of all the unnormal market conditions. We're in week 392. Over the last 392 weeks, we've issued over 21,400 individual handcrafted alerts. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based on simple market structure and a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. When Valerie did the recap this morning at 8 a.m. Eastern, we issued a total of just 32 alerts this week. An average week is usually somewhere between 50 to 70 under normal market conditions. At the time of the recap, we were still waiting on 5. Some of those may have resolved themselves. She'll update the recap and finalize it for the week this afternoon, as she does each week. So at the time of the recap this morning, we had 27 actionable alerts. of which 2 or 7% would have been stopped out, again based on simple market structure and the simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Now, every logic alert has an entry price, long or short, an initial target designed to help get your goal for the day, and in most cases, additional targets, and then a final trade to target. The purpose of the alerts is to help you learn how to read a chart. If you're going to trade for a living, you got to be able to read the chart. And a chart doesn't have any words. It's a different kind of language, and it's a language you need to learn and understand. By understanding how price flows, being able to read the chart and read the indicators, you know where to anticipate potential resistance. You know where to anticipate potential support. And by identifying those important areas, you're then able to see the windows of opportunity that live between those points. And that's where you'll find your best high probability, low risk trade opportunities. The logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock. Futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session, and vice versa. Now, 392 weeks, that is a very long time, a little over 7 years. But long before, years before, Logic 247, we had our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts. And they are different. They're different in a lot of different ways. But for the purpose of this discussion, I'll simply say this. They don't come out around the clock. They're typically published as a static report 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open. The Friday session that we're in right now began last night at 6 p.m. Eastern. The Monday session will begin Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. Stocks stop trading at 4 p.m. Eastern each day. Futures, however, continue trading to 5 p.m. Eastern. Now, there was a couple days this week that I held off on publishing the CTAs because I anticipated there would be some gaps at the opening. Some because of earnings reports that came out after the bell, and some for other reasons that you're familiar with. But last night, they did, as normal, come out 5 minutes ahead of the open. Sunday night, I will post a note in the discussion group letting you know whether to expect the CTAs before the open or shortly after the open. So be sure to look for that. Nonetheless, all of our members, and even trial members, had all of these targets last night, 5 minutes ahead of the Globex Open. The S&P 500, the Dow, the Russell, crude oil, the NQ, gold, and silver. 5 minutes before the market opens. So when we go through the individual charts and look at the individual markets, just remember, you'll see these targets drawn out on the chart. Just remember, they were published 5 minutes before the market opened. Okay? So from here, we'll go to the chart and start where we always do with the S&P 500 Emini futures, the bellwether. Now, I mentioned this in the live training room this morning. If this thing keeps going, we could potentially have a bullish engulfing candle. As you can see, today's low is lower than yesterday's low, and we're approaching yesterday's high. Yesterday's high was hang on 69.35 and a quarter. Okay. Now today's high so far 69.31. However, up here we've got the BBC, the daily BBC. We got red and falling overhead. Now, that is a bearish scenario right there. I mean, we're on the verge of a bearish cross, which makes this bounce even more unusual. As you can see, we came all the way down to the zero line on the fib extensions and even spiked it a little bit. So the market opened red, then turned green, and that's one big candle. But now it's up against resistance at 38% fib extension, the daily BBC, and red and falling. Is it possible that we could power through? Yeah, it's possible. But it looks like a tough job. So we just have to be patient and see what happens. Now, with a bullish or bearish engulfing candle, that's one of the most important potential reversal signals in a market. But it has to be in the proper context. We do have 3 red days leading into this bullish engulfing candle. I would like to see more, but this is what the market has handed us. So, well, now it hasn't even happened yet, but if it does happen, Sunday night we'll see what kind of results it brings. Just above red and falling, you got the 50% fib extension, then the 62, and then you got the high of February 3rd, and then the new all-time historic high, which was put in January 28th at 70.43. 70.43. Price always reverts to the mean. In our case, the mean is green. We just call it the BBC. Stands for bull bear cross. When price crosses above the green line, we're bullish and expect higher prices. When we cross below, we're bearish and expect lower prices, higher prices, lower prices, higher prices. Pretty simple. You'll notice that the pullback to the BBC holds more often than it doesn't, but eventually it will trade through. Now, earlier this year, we went through a 6-month period where we only crossed the BBC like twice and held. So everything, well, that was actually last year. This year, in fact, going all the way back really to when we rolled over to the H contract, not normal market conditions. But you gotta trade what's in front of you. That's the deal. Okay, all alerts are created on the 30-minute chart. The logic alerts and the concierge trade alerts. There's nothing magic about 30 minutes. It's just the time frame I chose years ago. And they say if it's not broke, leave it alone. So that's what I did. Now the vertical line separates today, Friday, here's Thursday, back here's Wednesday. The horizontal lines are the weekly trading zones. Now, those are published every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they're carved in stone for the entire week. They don't change in any way whatsoever. We've published the zones now every Monday for our members for a little over 16 years. When price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance till proven otherwise. When price drops to a zone, we expect support until proven otherwise. And this zone right here, 67.67/68, that was the lowest weekly trading zone for the week. Now again, these were published Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. So we hit that lowest zone, got a leg and a retracement, a leg, a retracement, a leg, a retracement, and then bing, we hit the long target. A little pullback, and then we plowed higher. And things got interesting. Now you see this high right here? If you look over here, you see where the red line got below the green line? That's called a bearish cross. When you have a bearish cross that leads to an extended move, the first time price revisits that area will almost always be good resistance. And it did send price all the way back down to the zone, but the second time up, we managed to get through that area. Now we're consolidating at the zone 69.24/25. Next area for potential resistance would be about 69.35. Then you got a bearish cross over here, 69.45, 69.48, and then the zone at 54/55. So that's quite a turnaround. On the Dow, here's where we opened last night, and by 1900 hours, or no, by 6:30. Yeah, this was the opening candle. This is the opening candle, 30-minute candle at 6 p.m. Eastern. By 6:30 p.m. Eastern, we had hit the short target. We kind of bounced back and forth between the short target and the zone. And then we find as red and falling turned to blue and climbing. One is bearish, the other bullish. Got a leg and a retracement and a leg. And then we ran all the way up to the zone. Now, when we rally up to a zone, we expect resistance till proven otherwise. When price encounters a zone, one of three things happens. 70% of the times consolidation, 20% of the times rejection, 10% of the times the slice. That's when a 30-minute candle slices through a zone like it's not even there. Notice on the way up that the black step line and blue and climbing were running parallel to one another. Price is still attempting higher, but the black step line looks like it wants to cross to the right side of blue and climbing. If that happens, we should see a retracement back to the BBC. On the Russell, here's where we opened last night, right at the zone 2583/84. We consolidated, red and falling turned to blue and climbing. So we got a bounce, a retracement, a leg, a retracement, a leg, a retracement, and then we hit the long target. Now that didn't happen, the long target didn't happen until 6:30 this morning, the 6:30 a.m. Eastern candle. Got a little pullback into blue and climbing, and off we go. Big run right here. This is the 9:30 opening candle on Wall Street. We hit the zone, resistance, retraced. So this was a green candle all the way up. But by the time the 30-minute candle closed, we were back here. Then we overcame. Now the low of this candle is 26.50.70. When you get a slice, when it runs out of steam, it will typically retrace back to the zone it sliced through. and continue in the direction of the slice. We didn't pull all the way back. The step line starting to lean to the right. As it crosses blue and climbing, we should look for a retracement back to the BBC. On the NQ, here's where we opened last night. Now this is the lowest weekly zone for the NQ. But even when price goes below the lowest weekly zone, and we talked about this yesterday, by close of business on Friday, we expect price to be at or above the lowest zone or at or below the highest zone. Now, there's 52 weeks in a year. We've published the zones for a little over 16 years, so that's a lot of weeks. So there have been a handful of weeks where we've had one or two or more of the markets close above the highest weekly zone or below the lowest weekly zone. But more often than not, the week closes out inside the zones. Of course, the NQ could reverse and put us back below the lowest zone, but for now it looks like it wants to head higher. Here's where we opened last night. We dropped almost to the short target. If you scroll left, you'll see why. Support came in where it did, a little earlier than I expected based on my analysis. Support always sends us looking for resistance. Resistance sends us back to support, back to resistance, back to support. And then we got a nice leg. It failed to take out that high. That brought a retracement back to the BBC. And again, the pullback held. See, when you get a pullback to the BBC, whether it's from below like that or from above like that, the pullback holds more often than it doesn't. And so the pullback held. And that puts us right now right at this spot from yesterday. And we still got room to go on the upside. Crude oil, here's where we opened last night. And by 7 o'clock, we had dropped to the short target, or during the 7 o'clock candle, we even spiked it, but we closed right at this low from yesterday. That's market structure. And then we bounced up to the zone, back to the target, and we overcame the zone. So we got a leg, a retracement, and then a leg that took us up to the zone, took us through this bearish cross, found resistance at the zone, a retracement to the BBC, the pullback held. That sent us back to the zone, resistance. Blue and climbing turned to red and falling. We dropped to the zone, consolidated. Finally we hit the short target again, spiked it. Then buyers came in and have driven us up now to the zone at 64.35/64.40. And again, these are the zones published Monday morning, 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once they're published, they don't change. They're carved in stone for the entire week. Gold, after a big 2-day sell-off, gold found support at the short target. Remember, these targets were published 5 minutes ahead of the open. So last night gold opened at 4,800 and dropped almost $7,500 to the short target per contract. And then we got a bounce that took us back above the BBC. pull back to the BBC held. And we got a leg, a retracement, the pullback held, and it held. And then we got through the long target based off this high right here. And we got a leg and a retracement and a leg. The step line has crossed blue and climbing. So at this point, I would anticipate a retracement back to the BBC. And last, silver opened and dropped to the zone at 67.73/74. Didn't quite make it all the way to the short target. Got down to 63.90. And then we bounced up to the BBC. Red and falling turned to blue and climbing. Got a leg, a retracement. And then a leg and a retracement, and a leg and a retracement. And where we are right now is this high right here from yesterday. The long target is based off this right here, where blue turned to red. 78.77. We are above the BBC. One last look at the daily chart. Price has gotten above the 38% fib extension. And we've touched the BBC. Again, the pullback holds more often than not. So institutional traders are going to have to be really committed. We got 1, 2 layers of resistance we need to push through. If we close right here, right now, we could call this a bullish engulfing candle. Today's low is lower than yesterday's low. Today's high is higher than yesterday's high. That is the definition of a bullish engulfing candle. However, you typically want to see it after a deeper sell-off. Okay, more than just 3 candles. But it is what it is. To become a member, email Valerie, support@cfrn.net. Let her know you want to become a member, and she'll email you all the information you need to get signed up. Once you become a passport holder, you get 2 hours of live training every trading day. It's an interactive environment. Michael's taking off trades live in real time while you ask questions and trade along in your demo account. The more questions you ask, the sooner you will learn the methodology, the strategy, and how to read the indicators. On top of the 2 hours of live training every trading day, you also get private one-on-one mentoring. No extra charge, all you got to do is ask. The strategy you learn, the indicators you use as a passport holder are fluid across all markets and all time frames. Stocks, futures, crypto, Forex, ETF, doesn't matter, price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. From support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over, again and again. It's a never-ending cycle. As a passport holder, you get the Logic 247 alerts. You get the concierge trade alerts, typically 5 minutes ahead of the open, like last night. Every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, you get the weekly trading zones. You're able to attend the members-only workshop on Thursday night. And you get the golden keys that opens all the private channels in Telegram. And there's quite a few. Everything a trader needs. All under one roof. One low price. Just email Valerie, support@cfrn.net. She'll send you all the information you need to get signed up. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Dwayne. Just made it. Okay.
Ready?
Ready.
Okay.
Ready. Let's bring it over here. Today's just been a whirlwind for me.
Boy, I
The
tell you,
minute that I woke up.
it's been a heck of a day. Okay, everything looks good.
Okay, good. Here, I didn't even do that. There we go. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Friday, the 6th day of February 2026. Now, if you have not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button right there. There's no credit card required for the trial. When you click on the purple button, it will bring you, actually, I got to fix this. It's going to bring you to a registration page where you just fill it out. I didn't put the current registration page in, but it'll bring you to a registration page just like this one, where all you have to put in is your name, your email, and your phone number. And down at the bottom, put in your TradingView login ID, hit register, and that will get you everything you need to get into the room in the morning and to get your indicators indicating. It will give us what we need to get. I'm not mad about that, Mark. Mark's up 266 ticks. He was saying I was going to fuss that up for continuing trading after I got his goal for the day. But anyway, you get everything you need to get your indicators indicating on your desktop and get into the room with us in the morning. All right, so here we are. Today, we had a pretty good day today. We finished at the high on the on the NQ and on the ES. No, sorry, the NQ and the YM. We finished the high on both of those. Actually, we didn't the NQ. We missed it by a little bit. So we finished at the high on the Russell and the YM. That's what we did. Anyway, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you have to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. On the NQ, we were up 133 ticks. The high was 138. The Russell ended with 13. That was the high. The YM went 58. That was the high. And the ES ended with 5. That was not the high. The high on the ES was 21. It looks like the only market we didn't stop out in was the YM. Yeah, that's true. Today I was running a little late this morning. I slept right through. I don't know how I did it, but last night I somehow set my alarm to some sound that is not going to wake me up, and it didn't. So I got a little later start than normal, but it still took 4 minutes and 2 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $285 with 1 contract, or $2,850 with 10. And I took a total of 40 trades this morning. That is a lot of trading. But I took all 40 trades this morning. And I had 7 stop outs with those 40 trades. So we're at 82.5% this morning. So this week, the high this week so far was 89.74%. And on that day, we were up, that was our best day of the week. We were up $1,240. Last month, our best percentage-wise was this day right here at 90.5%. And on that day, we were up 1,377. Right? Is that right? 1,377. That was not our best day of the month, though. This day, we were up 87%. Was our best day of the month. We're up $2,500 a contract on that day. You ever hear the Kelly principle? Basically, what that says is it doesn't matter what your percentage win rate is. It's the value of the wins versus the losses. So that's why this day here, we were 3% less the win rate, but we were almost 50% more. Actually, yeah, we're almost double the actual profit. That was last month. This month, we pretty much the same all month. This 90% day was our best, and we were at 1,240. That was our best day of the month. Anyway, on the month now, we're at $4,622 over 5 business days, averaging $925 per contract per 2-hour business day. On the year, we're at $27,647 over 23 business days, averaging $1,202 per contract per 2-hour business day. Now, the 24/20 blueprint, if you were to quit trading when you get the goal for the day and add 1 contract per month, so far this year, you would have only had to work 2.3 hours. You'd be up $4,332 on your second contract right now, averaging $1,883 per hour. Okay, these numbers up here aren't right, but these numbers down here are. So that is that. This is the number to beat, I think. I don't know. I'll figure that out later. I'll figure it. Anyway, the trades that we actually took, let's get in there. We had 40 of them, so we have a lot to go through. On the Russell, go back to the beginning. All right, so on the Russell, our first trade was right here this morning, and on that one we picked up 3 ticks, and then the next one was right here. We picked up 8 ticks on that to get us to 11. Then we grabbed this one right here. We went from 11 to 12, so we got 1 tick there to go to 12. Then we stopped out. That put us at -3. Oops. Then we had, wait a minute, at -3. Then we had something that got us to, there's something missing here. I don't think that was a stop out. That was a +1. We went from minus, I just don't think I changed the color of that. We got a +1 on that one. Oops, I'm trying to change the color to blue. Good on that. We went from, next we got a 4 on that. We went from -3 to +1, and then we went from +1 to +2 there, and then went from +2 to +12, and then +12 to +13. That is how we ended the morning session. Now I'll go to the very end and see if we have any trades right now. We almost do. I gotta find my DOMs. They are buried. Not only are they buried, I'm not even logged in. There we go. Okay, now I'm logged in again. I had logged off to help Robert. Okay, so we need a down close followed by an up close right now on the Russell. Okay, to have a trade. A down close followed by an up close. All right, so the next one is the YM. On the YM, let's do control and back on that one. All the way back here. All the way back here. I was waiting for the Russell to give us a trade here. It still could. An up close on the current bar, and the Russell's going to give us a trade. We see we're in some pretty tight chop right here. We're range. Okay, on the YM, our first trade here on the YM, we picked up 11 ticks on that. That was our third trade of the morning. Actually, we picked up 11 ticks on that. It was our first trade on the YM, though. 5 ticks on the next one got us to 16. Then 2 more got us to 18. Then if I just go to 2 on this, there we go. 2 more got us to 18, and I'm still waiting for that up close over there on the Russell. And then from 18 we went to 19, and I have this here. I guess we did stop out on the YM. Right here we stopped out on the YM, and that was not a valid trade. I don't know what I did there, but I ended up stopping out. -15 ticks, went from 19 down to 5. And then from 5 right here, we went to 13. That should be blue, not purple. Went from 5 to 32. That's right. No, we went from 4 to 32. So we had a big trade right there. 4 to 32, and then went from 32 to 42, and 42 to 43. And then here we went 43 to 58. And I didn't write in what that one was right there at the very end. So I was ending at 58, though we did end a little bit higher than that. And that is going to be it. I go all the way to the end, and now I do 3 contracts. Then we'll have the ES on the end here. See, that was pretty neat, wasn't it? Okay, so now we'll do the ES. I'm going to control back on that. It's the first time I've ever done it this way. All these years. I don't have the question box out, so if anybody's asked a question, I'll get to it in just a moment, okay? Hold it here. The question box is now out. Hey, I was going to show you guys something. Leon, you have a nice weekend too. And I want to send this to me because I know I talked about the alkaline water this morning. And so I will show you guys something here in a minute. Just forward it to myself. Ram it to me. Hang on. Send. I should have sent both. Telegram it to me. Hold that up. Send. Okay. All right. So on the YM, we started out. This is the YM, right? No, this is the ES. Okay. On the ES, here it is. Our first trade on the ES, we had E plus 3. Yeah, we had a plus 3 on the first trade on the ES. It was right there. Then the next trade, looks like we picked up 13 ticks, and we got to 16. And then we had a couple of break evens. And then moving along, we had a plus 4. That got us to 20. And then a 1 got us to 21. And then another 1 I didn't write down. I'm guessing it was 1. I don't know what it was, but I did write down the stop out. So I forgot to write in whatever that was. We went from 21 down to 11. We stopped out there. Then went from 11. We had a plus 1 right there. Went to is that 11? Yeah, that was 11. And that wasn't a 1 there. That was a 4. We went from 11 to 15, and then we stopped out again. It went down to 5. And that is where we ended it with the ES for the morning. We had 2 more break evens, but I didn't write down that we made any more gains. Okay, and that's where we ended up with the ES for the morning. And we do not have a trade triggering right now. So we'll go out to the 4th and final contract, the NQ. I'm just going to blow the NQ up. Okay, I'm going to minimize all these. This is the Russell. This is the YM. This is the ES. And I'm just going to blow the NQ up because that's where the majority of our trades were. Control and back on that. Go all the way back to the beginning. All the way back to the very beginning of time today. Now, the beginning of time today was right here, 9:41 for me. That's why you don't see any trades like right at the open where I normally get them. On the NQ, our first trade was this one right here. That's where we got the gold for the day. It wasn't our first trade overall. That was our first trade on the NQ. We had 3 ticks on the Russell at that point. And then we picked up 54 ticks here on that very first trade on the NQ. And the next one, we picked up another 50. That got us up to 104. Then we meandered around there for a little bit. Went from 104 to 110, 110 to 116, 116 to 126, and we stopped out. That's a 35 tick stop. That got us down to 91. And then we went back up to 101 and 138, and then we stopped out again down to 103. And then we went from 103 to 112, 112 to 124, and somewhere in there, there's another one. We went from 124 to 133. So that's probably one in here that I missed. Anyway, we ended up with 133 on the NQ. Okay, that is how we wrapped it up for the day on the NQ. Now, right now, we're in the green. There was just a trade right there a minute ago. It's set to go for another one right now. It's going to have a down close on this, followed by an immediate up close. The YM needs a down close, followed by an up close. The Russell needs an up close and then a down close. And the ES needs 2 down closes and then an up close. Now, I can tell you all that because I know how big every bar is going to be, and I know how far it's going to have to go here to get stuff where it needs to go. Okay. So let's just move all this stuff around and we'll get in there trading. Now, if you're just getting in on YouTube and you haven't taken a free trial, go here to mytradingaq.com, click on the purple button. It's going to bring you to the registration page. Looks a lot like this one. Fill out the form down at the bottom. Make sure you give us a TradingView login ID. Okay, there. Now I can get into the trading part of it. All right, I'm going to scroll down here. What do we have? We have 15 minutes left today. So this is 15. And this, we'll copy that down. I know we're going to have some trading opportunities. I don't know what they're going to be, but I know we're going to have something. This becomes a 41. And we'll go all the way back here, and this becomes a 41. And this is 2 oops, 6. Okay, so let's get in there and get some data to put in that table. All right, it looks like this is going to flip the YBR and this is going to flip the YBR. They're just going down to hit the YBR and flip it. Once they do that, we'll look for pullbacks and shorting opportunities on both of those. So the thing I was going to show you, those of you guys who were there this morning, and I mentioned it, we have an alkaline machine, and this is the drop you put in to see what kind of water you have naturally. And so that over there is normally somewhere in between those two is tap water. This right here is what I try to get. This is level 2 with our alkaline machine. It gets us to that. That's level 2. And this over here, that gives me a headache. If I go above that level, it gives me a headache. What you normally get, if you buy it in a store, it's normally going to be between these two. That's okay. But when you drink it all the time, like I do. But in here is normally what you get. Between these two is what you normally get for tap water. Okay. And this is what the alkaline water looks like, and that's what the tap water looks like. So the tap water is not that bad right now. Actually, that's not bad. It's normally even worse than that. And that's kind of light because I need to change one of the filters. But the alkaline water, I know some of you guys are asking about that this morning. Life-giving water, that's what we say. We need a down close here on the ES. Down close on the ES would be a short trade. We need a down close on the Russell. We'll just make it to a short trade. And we need an up close followed by a down close on the YM. We didn't flip it here on this. Okay, that up close kind of changes things here because it made the midband not flat anymore. The YM just needs a down close now. The YM's closest. The Russell is too far away. So the YM's the closest to us to trade. If the ES closes up, it's going to be too far away too. The next bar will be too far away. The Russell is definitely too far away. The ES is too far away. The NQ never looked at the short. And the YM is now in a different place. I'm going to cancel all these orders that I had waiting over there. Okay. And the YM now needs a down close, but the YM's the only one actually looking short right here. There's some people out here today that are not normally here. It's interesting. Chad. I see you're here today too. All right, so this got a little bit too high. Now the down close is going to be above the midpoint, so we're not going to do anything with that. I'll cancel that order too. We're going to flip the YBR here and then start looking for long trades. Okay. All right. All right, so we're about to flip the YBR right here. This is a ways away from it, so we could still have some manipulation here, up and down movement on these. Now, Kyle, are you watching right now? I want to show you what this is actually showing you. Okay, the information that you're actually getting from this. Let me do it on something that's not going to trigger trade. I'll do it on ES. Okay, so the markets are always doing the same thing, right? They're going up and down and up and down and up. And then eventually they go down and then they start going in the other direction. So what we're trying to do is get filled right here. All right. And usually when you get filled right here, this level right here, between here and here, is enough to get your goal for the day. Between here and here is enough to get your goal for the day. And when it pulls back like this and it exceeds this, it goes through that, then you don't get any trade set up. And then it starts going the other direction, and then you're going from here down to here and here down to here. All right. So if you were to take this right here and you draw your retracement levels, 50% retracement, 50% retracement. And then when it exceeds that and it exceeds 100%, then the whole thing flips around. And you're looking at it on the other side. Right? 50, well, let me draw it the other way. Let me just slide that over here and delete it. And you're looking at it the other way now. Well, this right here would be your leg down. That's 50% retracement. And then that's 50% retracement. Okay. So when you're back in here, there, the midpoint establishes that 50% retracement level over and over. And it does it based on when this goes into and out of the overbought or oversold. It resets based on that. Okay. So the 50% retracement, when you're below the YBR, you're drawing from the top down. Okay, drawing from the top down. So we'll draw from right here down. Actually, it's not using that for the top, it's using that for the top. Okay, so in that case right there, your 50% retracement was right there. It's about to flip the YBR. It went through it, so it's about to flip the YBR. And when it does, we'll draw from here up. Okay, you just flip the YBR like that, you draw from there up. So you see how the midpoint is right there. That's your 50% retracement. When it goes to the next bar, it's going to be flat right here. All right. See, that's what it's doing every time. So we're trying to get in when it pulls back to the 50% level and then ride it to the swing high and low. The swing high and low is established every time you do it. Right here, the swing high is right there. You can see the blue line right there. That's what you're going for. So when it gets down here, on a down close of this bar, this is going to be in the oversold, and it'll be crossing the midband. Well, it won't cross the midband, but the next bar will hit the midband. And then you'll be looking for an up close. Okay. It didn't actually hit it yet, but now it's in the oversold. So now you're going to be looking for an up close off to midband. This isn't going to work out right now the way that it's coming together. You need a down close on this bar, or you need to actually hit the midband on this bar, but a down close would be good too. All right. So it just hit the midband right there. So now an up close on this bar would give you a trade. You can look at the bottom. This is at 32.25. And the reason I use a 7-tick range is so you know it's 2 points exactly. It's going to be 34.25 is what you buy. That's a buy stop limit order right there. 1 tick above where the bar is going to close. I know the bar is going to close here because they're 7-tick range bars. So if I know where the bottom is, I know the top is going to be. It's going to be 7 ticks above the bottom. So I can be proactive and put my order on right there. Okay. Those are a lot of words. Yeah. In the consolidation, you just won't get trade setups. Okay, there is a way to trade during a consolidation in the chop, and I have a great way of trading in the chop, but this isn't it. This is closed down, so now this is going to go down to 33.50. Okay, now it can't get below 30.50. If it gets below 30.50, then it's going to be too far down. So right now, 32.75 is going to be the top, and it's going to be right here at the midpoint. Okay. Any lower than that, and it wouldn't hit the midpoint on the way back up. So there it is. It just filled us right there. So that's exactly what you want to do. Put the order on ahead of time. Had it in exactly the right place. I got filled in exactly the right place. Everything's exactly the way I want it to be. Now, I don't know if this is going to work out or not, but that's exactly how you want to take the trade. That was textbook right there. Everything about that. Now, it should make it up here right now, 36.75. So look in the DOM. Remember everything I told you this morning about the DOM, reading the DOM? There's not really anything significant up here at 36.75, but look a little bit above it, right here at 38. Up here at 40. This is the ultimate target right there. That's 30 ticks right there. This would be 29. So I don't know if it's going to make it, to get the stop to break even and get out of this trade with any profit. It might pull back and stop us out to the tick right here. But look on the downside. This is the pullback number. That's where it's trying to go on the downside. The charts are saying it's going to go up, so we're thinking up. But if it does go down, that's where it's going. Okay, and where is that? Look at the chart right now and see if that's something. 26.75. Look at the chart and see if that's a significant number. 26.75. Is that a swing low somewhere or something like that? Not really. It's not really a significant number. Okay, we're still in this right now so far. Here it is. Okay. 24.25. Okay, and that is a significant area on the chart. Let me slide this over and I'll show you. Oops, when you do that, we just stopped out on that. Okay, then you hit remove on that. But the 24.25 was something, it was right down here, wasn't it? 20.25. This was the area right here, 23.75. That's the zone right down there. Okay, so we stopped out on that first one. Let me just mark that and put it in here. is this, what am I looking at? We have results. Is this one right here? Here's the ES. There's the ES minus E. Okay. And this is 1 and 1. All right. That isn't minus 8 either. It's minus 10. Sorry, minus 10. It's not minus 8. No, that's the afternoon one. The morning one. Yeah. Thanks for clarifying though, because I usually screw that up. Right. So that was I did everything right there, and it just stopped out. That's going to happen. We still have time to get this back to positive. We don't have that much time. We only have 4 minutes. We have a lot of time. We might end up with a white day in there today. But in this session, in this 15-minute session that I actually have to trade, usually we end up doing pretty well. We needed down close here on the YM. It was a short. Right, we didn't quite hit the YBR there. That's too bad. I wish we would have hit it, and then we would have been able to get in on the pullback. So just looking at it right now, you would look for it to pull back to right here. That's what you would look for. I mean, this is the leg down, right? It didn't flip to YBR, so it's not saying to go for shorts yet. But when it does, if it hits the YBR and flips it, you're gonna be looking for a pullback to here to go short, right? The same thing over here on the NQ. We went through the midpoint, like we went through the midpoint here. And so we're gonna be looking for the short there. We didn't end up getting it yet on the YM here. Looks like we may get it up close before we get it down close, but get it down, nope, we actually got it down close first. Okay, so the down close right there is a short on the YM. Here that one is. Okay, both of these should flip the YBR. They should go down a little bit more and flip the YBR down. So everything's gonna be in the red. Should. I don't know if they're gonna. The YM, of course, needs to go 5 ticks into profit, and it bumps the stop to break even plus a tick after 5. That one just bumped it. This one's gonna bump it. Once this bar closes, it's hit the midpoint. I mean, it's hit the YBR. So it doesn't matter whether it closes up or down, it's gonna flip it. Okay, we got 1 tick on the YM, and we're out with just the 1. That is not going to put a dent in the stop out on the ES. YM is which one? Oops, 2. Okay. And back in here. Need a big trade on the NQ. It's out of that ES hole. So in other words, staying in the pullbacks, the resistance and support, it becomes evident by itself. You know, the midpoints they end up being resistance and support levels on their own. You know, you don't have to draw the fib lines. It does it all for you. It's, you know, if you're using Fibonacci retracement stuff, which a lot of everything that we use is based on, you know, retracements and projections and stuff like that. This does it for you. Okay. So now we look at this to pull back up here, hit that. This to pull back up here, hit that. The YM has already done it. So the YM is looking for another close right now. The Russell needs to have an up close to get into the overbought and then a down close. Okay. So we only have a couple of minutes left, half a minute left, but we could still have another trade here. We could still have a couple more trades. It's a Friday afternoon, so I don't want to drag it out, but we could have one here on the ES. It could hit the mid band and give a down close on this very bar on the ES and turn into a trade. Okay, the Russell needs an up close followed by a down close, and the Russell's really close to the YBR. The NQ needs an up close and then the down close also. So the YM's not going to be a trade because that went up too far. I'm going to cancel that. The ES could be a trade on a down close. The NQ could be a trade on a down close. Okay, now the Russell just flipped the YBR up, so that's bullish. This is going to flip the YBR up to bullish, and these two might give you shorts right now. These two are both starting to go long. The NQ just triggered. I had my order in the wrong place, obviously, because it's already at plus 10. Gonna lock in even more on that. We're at 90.75. That's 16.20. Okay, I kind of screwed up the NQ trade, but I got 20 ticks on it. The yes trade just triggered in, so we're in on the yes trade. That's not a trade there. That's not a trade there. We got 20 ticks on that. You got to place on that one. But we'll see what happens with the yes. The yes will be our last trade, and then we'll wrap it up because it is time for me to stop. Okay. Now on the yes, this was the number that I pointed out earlier on the yes. If it's going to go down, that's the number I should go down to right there. That'd be 9 ticks. That would ease some of the pain that we caused earlier with the -10. Now the NQ's got the actual trade right there. It's going to go one more, and it's going to bump it to break even. Okay, it just bumped it to break even automatically, and it just took me out of break even on the ES. And the NQ's got the actual trade there. Now, I had kind of messed that up and taken a trade. I had my order in the wrong place, obviously. But let's go fill it out over here. All right, we got 20 on that guy, and we had another break even on the ES. So that means 4 trades overall. So 75% of our trades today will break even or better in this session, in the 15-minute session, but we're minus 200 bucks right now. Let's see if we can. I know it's Friday afternoon. I don't want to drag it out, but see if we got anything else. No, we don't have anything else in here. Okay. Are we super concerned about the green and red, or just aware of the trend involvement? You mean the background color? You don't mean the bar color, right? You mean the background color. Background color is, you are concerned about that because that's based on the YBR. If you're below the YBR, it's red, you're looking for shorts. If you're above the YBR, it's green, you're looking for longs. Okay, so that is important. You know, what I showed this morning when I showed the context PP this morning, this guy. This one doesn't have the background color. I forgot to put it, well, I had stopped using the context PP, so I didn't put it in there, but I will put that in now, probably. So it has the background color, because using the background color is important. Without that, you know, using the YBR. And so when you're above the YBR, you're looking for long trades. When you're below the YBR, you're looking for short trades. The background color helps to make it a little more obvious. Okay, but it is important. If it's green, you're looking for longs. If it's red, you're looking for shorts. And the way that the code works, I will explain this much to you. The way that the code works is when it's above the YBR, it does the Fibonacci retracement drawing stuff. It does it from the midpoint up. Okay, when you're below the YBR, it does it the other way around. It does it from the top down. That's how it draws it. Okay, it looks at the prior swing high and low that way. So it pays attention to the YBR too. So it is important. Okay. All right. Well, you got the link and all that stuff. And if you have any questions, just let me know. You get all the information's in that email that I sent to you. All right. So everybody else, if you haven't taken a free trial, let's go to mytradingiq.com. Click on the purple button. There is no credit card required for the trial. Once you do that, it's going to bring you to a registration page. It looks just like this one. Gives you name, email, phone number down at the bottom. Gives you your login ID. Once you do that, we'll be able to get you set up and everything indicating on your desktop as soon as possible. All right. That's it, guys. With that, I'm going to wrap it up and pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. And Dwayne is ready.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Recap of the morning session.
Today it took 4 minutes and 2 trades to get to 28.50. 4 minutes and 2 trades to 28.50. And you know what? I didn't finish stuff today. We had a white day today because we didn't get back to positive. But we are still averaging in this session, in the trading that we do in the session today, we traded for 15 minutes, and we're averaging 14.67 minutes of trading time in this half an hour period that I do. And we're averaging $142.20 per session per contract. So,
good job. Good job.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, guys, we covered all the logic alerts, the concierge trade alerts. We went through every market in granular fashion as we do each and every day. So if you missed any part of today's broadcast, as soon as I log off in a couple minutes, you can go to youtube.com/CFRN and watch today's broadcast in its entirety from start to finish. And we're going to wrap the week up with our good word for the day. Be optimistic. Genesis 1:31. God saw everything that he had made, and indeed it was very good. Before the age of 2, Helen Keller lost her vision and her hearing. In an instant, her world went dark and silent. Then a godsend named Anne Sullivan broke through Helen's solitary confinement and touched her soul. As a result, Helen became the first deaf, blind person to earn a bachelor's degree. She also authored a dozen books, including a manifesto on her philosophy of life called Optimism. No pessimist ever discovered the secrets of the stars, she wrote, or sailed to an uncharted land. The last page of her book echoes the first page of Scripture. Optimism is the harmony of man's spirit and the Spirit of God pronouncing his works good. If God's Spirit is within you, optimism is the order of the day. Optimism isn't at odds with the reality all around us. It simply means we're anchored to another reality, the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus Christ, that is deeper and stronger and longer than the reality we can perceive with our 5 senses. Helen Keller proved that with an optimistic spirit, even the most difficult of circumstances cannot define you. And even if you cannot change them, you can overcome them. She proved that as amazing as the human eye is, there's something more amazing. The mind's eye that enables us to imagine the unthinkable and believe the impossible. It's why she said, the only thing worse than being blind is having sight but no vision. Or as Paul put it in Philippians 4:8, brothers and sisters, think about the things that are good and worthy of praise. In other words, be optimistic. And that's our good word for the day and for the week. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.